Your papers are warm from your pocket. Your ration card is creased in the right places. Your new name answers faster than your old one. Outside, boots hit cobblestone and a patrol laughs like it owns the street because it does. You don't need a gun yet. You need a life that holds. This is your life, level by level, inside an SAS sleeper agent. Level 1: The Ghost Civilian, Sleeper Planted. Safest is the moment you start lying for a living. You rent a room that smells like coal dust and boiled cabbage. You show up to work on time. You stamp forms, stack crates, sweep a floor, whatever your cover demands, and you learn the rhythm of the town by its shortages. Mondays: breadline. Thursdays: ration office. Sundays: the church steps where people talk too freely. Your identity kit lives on your body. Papers with the right stamps, a ration card with the right holes, a letter from a cousin in the next district, and a biography drilled until it comes out without thought: mother's maiden name, last employer, the street you grew up on. You tell yourself it's just acting. You tell yourself it's temporary. You tell yourself nobody can see the sweat under your collar. Your mission stays microscopic. You count flat cars in the rail yard. You note truck types and unit markings in a pocket notebook that looks like grocery tallies. Then you pass it to a cutout: never the same cafe twice, never the same greeting twice, so you never meet whoever runs the network. You're not afraid of bullets. You're afraid of a routine document check that lasts one question too long, like a stitch catching and tearing your whole life open. Level 2: The SOE Trainee. Wanborough right pointing arrow RSAG right pointing arrow WWII. They don't teach you to fight first, they teach you to be believable. Wanborough Manor feels like a country house with sharp edges. You run until your lungs burn. Then you sit at a table and answer harmless questions while someone watches how you hold your glass. You're evaluated when you think you're off duty: at the bar, in the hallway, in the pause before you speak. Then RSAG, hard and wet on Scotland's west coast. Small arms, demolitions, fieldcraft that turns your hands into cracked leather. Railway sabotage measured in inches and minutes: how long to place a charge, how far to be when it goes, what to do when it doesn't. People disappear from the course without ceremony. Not suitable, just gone. WWII is the finishing school, and it's cruel in a quiet way. You practice your cover until it sounds like boredom. You practice spotting a tail in shop windows. You practice meeting a cutout without looking like you're meeting anyone at all. They give you an emergency phone number to validate your identity if you're arrested. You tell yourself you'll never need it. You tell yourself you'll use it calmly. You tell yourself using it too fast won't mark you as brittle. Graduation doesn't feel like pride. It feels like being stitched into a new skin that won't come off without tearing. Level 3: The Pianist, Clandestine Wireless Operator. Every transmission is a flare you pray no one sees. The suitcase radio is heavier than it should be, like guilt with a handle. You carry it up narrow stairs, into an attic that smells of damp wood and old clothes. You string an aerial like laundry across a beam, clip the battery, and listen for the clean gap in the static where London lives. You transmit in bursts, short, controlled. You keep your hand on the key and your eye on the clock because German direction finding doesn't need luck, just time. 20 minutes, 30 if you're blessed. Toward the end of 1943 into 1944 the rules tighten into something like scripture. No more than 5 minutes, then you vanish. You shift frequencies. You change skeds. You burn habits before habits burn you. You become the note everyone needs and the face nobody should remember. Safer that way. You tell yourself isolation is professionalism. You tell yourself you're protecting the network. You tell yourself you don't mind eating alone in borrowed kitchens, leaving before the teacups cool. Every message you send feels like striking a match in a dark barn and trusting the smoke won't find you first. You've learned to live unnoticed, to train under scrutiny, to speak to London in 5-minute breaths. Now London wants receipts, drops, rail cuts, bodies, and your cover has to survive the backlash. Level 4: The SAS Liaison Saboteur, dropped to the Maquis, 1944. You stop reporting the war. You start editing it. The parachute harness bites your thighs as the French countryside rises up, fields stitched with hedgerows, a pale road, one farmhouse that could be a landmark or a trap. You hit hard, roll, and drag silk into a ditch before the moon can betray you. The welcoming party is 3 shadows and a bicycle. No password spoken loudly. Just a cigarette offered, then refused, then offered again. You live out of what fits in canvas. Sten parts wrapped in oiled cloth, plastic explosive in brown paper, fuses, caps. A compass that never leaves your palm, francs sewn into a seam. Days are haylofts and root cellars. Nights are movement counting sentries by their cough, measuring a rail line by pacing, watching for Feldgendarmerie motorcycles with their gorget plates flashing in lantern light. Your liaison, which means you translate targets into French, French grudges into workable teams. You tell yourself every bridge span matters. You tell yourself every cut rail saves lives up the road. You tell yourself the reprisals aren't your calculation. In the dark, sabotage is just arithmetic until the numbers start having names. Level 5 The Jedburgh Type Coordinator, 3-man team politics. Your weapon is not the Sten. It's the meeting. A farmhouse kitchen becomes a headquarters because it has a table and a door you can watch. A map is pinned under a loaf of stale bread. Your team is 3 men and 3 philosophies. 1 French officer with pride like Flint, 1 American or British radioman with procedures, and you SAS trained but living in borrowed manners. You spend hours on small decisions that decide who dies. Which Maquis group gets the drop zone? Which group gets nothing and starts resenting the ones who do? You count canisters, Bren guns, gammon bombs, bandages, chocolate, boots, and you sign with a pencil that feels too light for the weight it carries. You brief sabotage like a sermon. Timings, rally points, recognition signals, 2 flashes, pause, 1 flash because the wrong lantern pattern means friendly fire at 20 meters. You tell yourself politics is secondary. You tell yourself unity is possible. You tell yourself you can keep personal vendettas from becoming operations. You don't command armies. You align tempers, and the front line becomes the space between 2 men shaking hands. Level 6 The Handler's Blade, Operational Planner and Extraction, Aftermath. You become the person who decides what gets risked and what gets left behind. The liberation doesn't feel like peace where you are. It feels like paperwork with mud on it. You sit in a commandeered office schoolhouse, merry, sometimes a barn with a typewriter that sticks on certain letters. You compile names, locations, weapons counts, and the quiet category nobody says out loud. Liable to talk. Extraction is a system, not a romance. You plan routes to a coastal pickup or an LZ scraped out of a field. You arrange signals. Aldis lamp, colored panels, a bonfire only when the wind is right. You coordinate with pilots who want exact grids, and with locals who only trust hedgerows and saints. Then comes aftermath. Debriefs. Vetted contacts. A burned safe house. A radio set recovered with the keys still warm. You tell yourself the ledger is necessary. You tell yourself you're protecting the next network. You tell yourself that missing is a temporary word. At this level, you don't carry the suitcase radio, you carry the silence it leaves behind. Rank never erases the first lesson. You survive by making a life that can be searched. A ration card, a stamped paper, a clean story told on command. The tools change: key, fuse, map, manifest, but the weight stays familiar. You learn to live inside procedures the way others live inside homes, and you realize some doors only open inward.